Welcome to QuickSpeak, the English podcast that helps you learn English in a fun and interesting way.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Today, we're going to talk about something that everybody wants,
Mm-hmm.
joy.
Joy?
What is it,
Yeah,
and how can we get more of it?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that philosophers and scientists have been pondering, for centuries.
Oh, wow.
The interesting thing is that joy isn't just, a simple feeling. It's a complex emotion with deep roots in our brains and our culture.
So it's more than just being happy.
Right.
What's the difference?
Okay, so think of it like this.
Okay.
Happiness can be fleeting. It's that burst of excitement you get when you win a game
Right.
or receive a gift. Joy, on the other hand, is a deeper, more lasting sense of well-being and contentment. It's like a warm, steady glow that comes from within.
Okay. I'm starting to see the difference. But if joy comes from within, does that mean it's all in our heads?
Well, our thoughts and feelings definitely play a role. But it's not just about, positive thinking.
Right.
Joy can also be triggered by external experiences. For example, spending time with loved ones, achieving a meaningful goal,
Right.
or even just experiencing the beauty of nature can all spark those feelings of joy.
So it's a combination of internal and external factors.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that joy isn't just a passive experience. We can actively cultivate it
Oh, okay.
by making choices that support our well-being. For example, did you know that studies have shown that practicing gratitude can actually increase our levels of joy?
Really?
Yeah.
Just by thinking about things we're grateful for?
Yeah.
That sounds almost too easy.
It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. When we focus on the good things in our lives, our brains actually release dopamine and serotonin, which are neurochemicals associated with feelings of happiness and well-being.
So it's like training our brains to focus on the positive.
Precisely. And the more we do it, the stronger those neural pathways become, making it easier to access joy in our daily lives.
That's amazing. But what about those times when it feels like joy is just out of reach? Like when we're going through a tough time or facing a challenge.
Right.
Is it even possible to experience joy in those moments?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
And it's something a lot of people struggle with. The truth is that life is full of ups and downs, and it's unrealistic to expect to feel joyful all the time.
Yeah.
But even in difficult moments, there are still ways to tap into that inner wellspring of joy.
So what's the secret? How do we find joy when things are tough?
One key is to focus on what we can control. We may not be able to change our circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to them. For example, instead of dwelling on the negative, we can choose to focus on our strengths and the things we're grateful for.
Okay.
We can also choose to connect with others, practice self-care, and engage in activities that bring us meaning and purpose.
So it's about shifting our perspective and finding those little sparks of joy, even in the midst of challenges.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like looking for those rays of sunshine that break through the clouds on a stormy day. They're always there, even if we have to look a little harder to find them.
This is really eye-opening. I'm starting to realize that joy isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we can actively create in our lives.
And that's a really empowering realization. We have more control over our happiness than we often realize.
You mentioned earlier that memories can play a role in experiencing joy. I've noticed that sometimes just thinking about happy times from the past can instantly lift my mood.
Absolutely. Our memories are powerful tools for cultivating joy. When we recall positive experiences, our brains release those same feel-good chemicals as if we were experiencing them all over again. It's like having a built-in joy button right inside our heads.
So it's like rewinding and replaying the highlights of our lives.
Exactly. And the more we do it, the stronger those positive memories become. It's like creating a mental photo album filled with joy. But there's another side to memories that's equally fascinating, and that's their ability to shape our present and future experiences.
What do you mean?
Well, our memories aren't just static snapshots of the past. They're constantly being updated and rewritten based on our current thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So we choose to focus on the positive aspects of our memories. We can actually change how we perceive those experiences and even how they influence our well-being today.
So it's like editing our memories to highlight the joy.
Exactly. And that's a really empowering realization. It means that even if we've had difficult experiences in the past,
Yeah.
we can choose to reframe them in a way that brings us more joy in the present.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on the power of memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have the ability to choose which memories we want to amplify
Yes.
and which ones we want to let fade away.
And that's a powerful tool for shaping our overall experience of joy. By focusing on the positive,
Right.
we can create a richer, more vibrant tapestry of joyful memories that we can carry with us throughout our lives.
That's such a beautiful way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like weaving a tapestry of joy
Yes.
from the threads of our past experiences.
Exactly. And those threads can continue to support us and bring us joy long after the original experience has passed. But here's something else to consider. Sometimes our own thoughts and feelings can actually get in the way of experiencing joy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have these internal barriers
Right.
that block us from fully embracing the good things in our lives.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. It's like when you're so focused on what you don't have
Right.
that you forget to appreciate what you do have.
Exactly. And those negative thoughts can really spiral out of control,
Yeah.
creating a vicious cycle that keeps us trapped in a state of dissatisfaction.
So how do we break free from that cycle? How do we overcome those internal joy obstacles?
Well, the first step is to become aware of them.
Okay.
Once we recognize those negative thought patterns,
Right.
we can start to challenge them and replace them with more positive and empowering beliefs.
That sounds like it takes a lot of effort and self-awareness.
It does, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Remember, our thoughts are incredibly powerful.
Hmm.
They shape our perceptions, our emotions, and ultimately our reality.
Hmm.
So by changing our thoughts,
Right.
we can actually change our experience of the world
Wow.
and open ourselves up to greater joy. It's like we're the architects of our own happiness. We get to choose the materials, the design, and the overall feel of the structure.
I love that analogy. It's so empowering to think that we have the ability to shape our own experience of joy, but sometimes it feels like there are external forces that can get in the way. Like, what about when bad things happen? Can we really choose to be joyful, even in the face of adversity?
That's a really important question, and the answer, I believe, is a resounding yes.
Wow.
While we may not be able to control what happens to us, we can control how we respond.
Oh.
And that response can make all the difference in our experience of joy.
So it's about finding that inner strength and resilience.
Exactly. And that resilience is often built through challenges. Think about it like this. When a muscle is stressed, it tears and rebuilds itself stronger in a similar way. When we face adversity, we have the opportunity to develop our inner strength and resilience.
So it's like our capacity for joy actually expands when we go through tough times.
That's a great way to put it. It's like those challenges create space for even greater joy to emerge. But it's not always easy to see that in the moment, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed or discouraged.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do we shift our perspective when we're in the midst of a difficult situation? How do we find those glimmers of joy when everything feels dark?
One powerful strategy is to focus on what we can control. For example, we can choose to focus on our breath, our body, and our immediate surroundings. We can choose to connect with loved ones, engage in activities that bring us comfort, and practice gratitude for the simple things in life.
So it's about finding those anchors of peace and stability in the midst of the storm.
Exactly. And those anchors can help us weather the storm and emerge even stronger on the other side. But here's another interesting aspect of joy. It's not just about our individual experiences, it's also deeply connected to our relationships with others and our sense of belonging in the world.
So that's interesting. So our social connections play a role in our experience of joy.
Absolutely. We are social creatures by nature, and our relationships with others have a profound impact on our well-being. Studies have shown that people who have strong social connections tend to be happier and healthier than those who are more isolated.
So it's not just about feeling good on the inside. It's also about feeling connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Precisely when we feel a sense of belonging, purpose, and contribution, our capacity for joy expands exponentially. And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of joy, its role in creating positive change in the world.
Wait, are you saying that joy can actually make the world a better place?
I absolutely believe that joy is contagious when we are joyful. We radiate that energy outwards, inspiring others and creating a ripple effect of positivity, and that positive energy can be a powerful force for good in the world.
Wow. So it's like joy is a superpower that we can use to make a difference.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be anything grand or dramatic. Even small acts of kindness and compassion can create a ripple effect of joy that spreads far and wide.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on the power of joy. It's not just a feel-good emotion. It's a force for positive change in ourselves and in the world around us.
And that's a really empowering realization. It means that each of us has the ability to be a source of joy and inspiration for others. And when we tap into that collective power, we can create a world that is more joyful, more compassionate, and more fulfilling for everyone.
We've been talking a lot about the internal and external factors that contribute to joy, but what about the role our brains play in all of this?
That's a fascinating area of research. Neuroscientists are discovering that joy is more than just a fleeting feeling. It's actually rooted in specific neural pathways and neurochemicals in our brains.
Oh, wow. So there's a scientific basis for joy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For example, we know that dopamine, which is often called the feel-good chemical, plays a key role in our experience of pleasure and reward. When we do things we enjoy, our brains release dopamine, which reinforces those behaviors and makes us want to do them again.
So dopamine is like the brain's way of saying, hey, this feels good. Let's do more of that.
Exactly. But it's not just about seeking out immediate pleasure. Our brains are also wired for something called anticipatory joy. This is the feeling of excitement and pleasure we experience when we look forward to something good in the future.
Oh, I know that feeling well. Like when you're planning a vacation or looking forward to a special event, just thinking about it can make you feel happy.
Exactly, and that anticipatory joy is actually driven by dopamine as well. Our brains release dopamine in anticipation of a reward, which motivates us to work towards it and make it happen. But here's where it gets really interesting. The anticipation of a reward can sometimes be even more pleasurable than the reward itself.
Wait, how is that possible?
Well, think about it this way. When we're anticipating something good, our imaginations run wild. We build it up in our minds, creating an idealized version of the experience. But reality rarely lives up to our expectations. So the actual experience, while still enjoyable, may not be as intense or pleasurable as the anticipation leading up to it.
Well, so it's like the buildup is sometimes better than the main event.
Exactly. And this is something to be mindful of, especially in our culture, where we're constantly bombarded with messages about instant gratification and the pursuit of happiness. We're encouraged to chase after the next big thing, the next thrill, the next source of pleasure. But that constant chasing can actually prevent us from fully experiencing and appreciating the joy that's already present in our lives.
So it's like we're so focused on getting to the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey.
Precisely, and that's a recipe for dissatisfaction and disappointment. The key is to find a balance between savoring the anticipation of future joys while also fully embracing and appreciating the present moment.
This is all so fascinating. I'm starting to realize that joy is much more complex than I ever imagined. It's not just about feeling happy, it's about understanding how our brains work, managing our expectations, and cultivating a mindset of gratitude and appreciation.
And it's about recognizing that joy is a journey, not a destination. It's a practice, a skill we can develop and strengthen over time. And the more we practice, the more joy we invite into our lives. But there's one more piece of the puzzle that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the role of our environment in shaping our experience of joy.
Oh, you mean like our physical surroundings and the people we surround ourselves with?
Exactly. Our environment can have a profound impact on our mood, our energy levels, and ultimately our capacity for joy.
So it's not just about what's going on inside our heads, it's also about the world around us.
Absolutely. For example, studies have shown that spending time in nature can have a significant impact on our well-being. Being surrounded by trees, fresh air, and natural beauty can reduce stress, boost our mood, and enhance our feelings of joy and contentment.
That makes sense. I always feel more relaxed and happy when I'm outdoors.
It's not just about nature, though. Our social environment also plays a crucial role. Surrounding ourselves with positive, supportive people can have a contagious effect, boosting our mood and enhancing our experience of joy. On the other hand, being around negative or toxic people can drain our energy and make it harder to experience joy.
So it's like our environment can either amplify or diminish our joy.
Exactly. And this is why it's so important to be mindful of the environments we create for ourselves, both physically and socially. We have more control over our surroundings than we often realize. And by making conscious choices about the spaces we inhabit and the people we spend time with, we can create environments that support our well-being and enhance our capacity for joy.
This is giving me a lot to think about. I'm starting to realize that joy is a multifaceted experience that's influenced by a complex interplay of internal and external factors.
And that's the beauty of it. Joy is a constantly evolving, ever-expanding aspect of our human experience. There's always more to discover, more to learn, and more to experience. And the more we explore the world of joy, the richer and more fulfilling our lives become.
It's like we've been on this incredible journey exploring all these different facets of joy.
And we've discovered that it's not just a simple emotion.
Yeah. It's a complex tapestry woven from our thoughts, our experiences, our relationships,
Right.
and even our brains.
And like any skill, cultivating joy takes practice and intentionality.
But one thing that really struck me is this idea that joy can be a force for positive change.
That's right.
It's not just about feeling good ourselves, but also about radiating that joy outwards and inspiring others.
Exactly. When we embrace joy, we become like beacons of positivity,
Yeah.
illuminating the world around us.
And that brings us to another important point, the role of mindfulness in experiencing joy.
Ah, yes. Mindfulness.
It's a word we hear a lot these days.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean in the context of joy?
Well, mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
It's about savoring the simple pleasures, appreciating the beauty around us,
Right.
and fully engaging in our experiences.
So it's about slowing down and really being present in the moment
Yes.
rather than rushing through life on autopilot.
Precisely. Think about it like this.
Okay.
When we're mindful, we open ourselves up to the richness and fullness of life.
Mm-hmm.
We notice the subtle details, the small joys
Right.
that we might otherwise miss.
So it's like we're training our attention to focus on the good stuff.
Exactly. And the more we practice mindfulness,
Yeah.
the more easily we can access those moments of joy in our everyday lives.
Do you have any tips for incorporating mindfulness into our daily routine?
Absolutely. One simple practice is to start each day with a few moments of mindful breathing.
Okay.
Just sit comfortably, close your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on the sensation of your breath
Yeah.
entering and leaving your body.
That sounds easy enough.
It is.
Yeah.
And you can also practice mindfulness throughout the day by,
Yeah.
simply pausing for a moment to notice your surroundings. Pay attention to the sights, the sounds, the smells, the sensations. Engage all of your senses.
So it's about bringing that same level of awareness to everyday activities.
Exactly, whether you're eating a meal,
Right.
taking a walk,
Mm-hmm.
or simply having a conversation.
Yeah.
Try to be fully present in that moment. Savor the experience.
I love that. It's like finding these little pockets of joy throughout the day.
And those pockets of joy can add up
Yeah.
to create a more joyful and fulfilling life overall.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is how cultural differences might influence our experience of joy.
That's a great point. Joy is a universal human emotion, but how we express and experience it can vary widely across cultures.
Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. For instance, in some collectivist cultures,
Okay.
joy is often associated with social harmony and interdependence. It's about feeling connected to the group and contributing to the well-being of others.
So it's less about individual happiness
Right.
and more about the happiness of the collective.
Exactly. And in some indigenous cultures,
Yeah.
joy is deeply intertwined with nature and spirituality.
Oh, wow.
It's about feeling a sense of awe and wonder in the face of creation.
It's fascinating how these different perspectives
Yeah.
can enrich our understanding of joy.
It really is. And it reminds us that there's no one right way to experience joy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a personal and cultural journey.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of what joy is and how to cultivate it in my life.
Me too. And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I'm sure they do. And speaking of our listeners, I want to remind everyone that this is QuickSpeak, the English podcast that helps you learn English in a fun and engaging way.
That's right. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast
Yeah.
and visit our website in the description for more learning materials,
Right.
like vocabulary lists and exercises related to today's topic.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of joy. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep spreading the joy.